On this episode of Journey to the River, Lynese lets us into her riverside experiences of addressing grief while simultaneously allowing God to build her self-worth. We set out on a plotted course on the road to destiny. That road is not ever absent the tolls of pain, bridges of disappointment, nor the traffic of trauma. For that reason, at appointed times, God calls us off-road to take a journey to his healing river. The precursor to that healing journey can be a season of success of failures, the start of new relationships, or the end of old ones, the beginning of new roles, the taking on of new responsibilities, loss, tragedy, or just stillness. No matter what, we know his plan is to work all things together for my good, your good, our good. God wants us to be whole just as much as he wants you to be his. This journey, although leading to freedom and wholeness, isn't without its challenges, and only the brave hearts have had the courage to endure. Here are some of their stories. Follow us on the journey to the river. Lynese, my beautiful friend, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
I am doing amazing, and I'm really excited to just be able to sit here and spend this time with you today. Man, I know for certain, if I don't know anything else, that God is writing a beautiful story with your life, and just being able to experience the level of grace that you've been walking through this journey that's not absent trial, not absent trauma, not absent tragedy, but man, you've walked through this with such beauty, such grace, such poise. And I really believe people need to understand the depth of your story. So having said that, I want you to tell me about this season, a season of your life where God began to lead you to heal unaddressed pain in your heart.
Well, this season that I'm in, walking through stages of grief, today is a good day. So, but God has definitely revealed to me his goodness in it all. I have experienced the loss of two spouses. And this last spouse, which was Vachel, a lot of you all know, he had a very impactful place in my life where he caused me to see myself in a different way and love God in a different way. And so in this experience, I've just learned to be more confident, and with his passing, it's caused me to just push even harder, because he was like one of my pushers. In this healing process, God has also revealed to me some areas of low self-esteem and feeling unworthy. And he's just illuminating those areas of my life, and he's just putting his finger on it and pressing in to me those areas where he wants me to grow up in, because he's pretty much, like the Bible says, skillfully and wonderfully made me. So that's what he's doing.
Amen. Amen. So I hear you say basically your journey, even your journey in inner healing at this point, it started because of a loss, and in that place of grief, God began to have a conversation with you about things that were hidden underneath that. Can you talk a little bit more about those areas, and even in your process that God is taking you through to heal those areas?
I guess the process, I am being really intentional on feeling the feeling that I'm feeling. That makes sense.
Perfect sense.
So if something arises, I just take the time for real and just deal with it in the moment versus sweeping it under the rug. I'll deal with it another time, or counseling, and just really staying in his face and being more vulnerable. Not vulnerable in a promiscuous way, but vulnerable in a way of letting people know how I feel, showing emotions, different things like that, is what I'm being intentional on. And pretty much that's what I've been doing on my journey.
Yeah, I think that something that you said is very pivotal for people in all healing journeys is a level of honesty, an emotional transparency, because I think that a lot of people in our context, we're so accustomed to just surviving trauma, tragedy, loss, that we don't necessarily know how to properly heal from it.
Right.
And there's some wounds that you incur where you need to let it bleed. You need to let it breathe. You need to let it out,
Right.
And not keep it bogged down. So I think that's a very emotionally intelligent thing that God has you doing in that process of grief. But I also just want to touch a little bit more on, how God used your vulnerability in grief to open you up to explore all the other things. Tell me some more about that.
My vulnerability in grief, how he opened it up. How he opened it up. I think I was just in a desperate place.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I'm like, God, what are you doing? Like, this is the second time. Did I do something wrong? So it just caused me to ask more questions and, remind him of his word. I felt like he left me. I felt like he did me wrong. So now I'm in his face, like, what is going on? So it caused me to be more vulnerable. And even being with Vachelle caused me to be a more vulnerable person in some ways, to express love more vulnerable. Be more vulnerable and expressing my love. But in this particular situation, I was just in a place of desperation, and this is transparent, like finances, just anything you can imagine, just just basically left my life. So I was just in a very desperate and vulnerable place. So at that point of him passing away, my hands were in the air. Like, whoever can help me, whoever I can talk to. I don't care what you think about me. This is my story, or whatever I needed to be in the moment. God surrounded me with people who could just take me however I was in the moment. So I think him surrounding me with people that could accept my vulnerability was key. And just me personally, just not caring anymore. Just allowing whatever comes out, and not really caring about what anybody thought of me. That was a big healing place for me, because I've always been concerned about the opinions of people. And at this place of my life, it was just pretty much, I had nothing. Not that I didn't have anything. I felt like basically my hands were not tied, but just I throw my hands up. God, I surrender. Whatever you're doing.
So we know that the truth is, God works all things together for the good of those who love him and are called according to his purposes. And so it's amazing to me that he would use a season of grief for you to be also a sealing of some of your greatest healings, and to bring you into a divine identity. Like you said, he skillfully and wonderfully made you, and you're masterfully crafted. And so him taking you through a place of like your lowest to only show you who you really are. I think that's such a beautiful thing. I would ask, like, what kind of advice would you offer to a person, if you would offer advice at this point in time, who may be navigating the course of grief, or even maybe some of the nuances of dealing with unworthiness and those types of things, of not being able to be vulnerable? What are some things you might share with those people?
Stand in your truth. Like, it is what it is. Stand in your truth. Surround yourself with people who are mature enough to handle you in the season that you're in. I know it's cliche, but trust God. Like, to me, this whole situation with Vachelle, we, are believing God, period. So that's definitely some great advice that I would give someone, is to believe God, to believe that he will take care of you, that he will get you from your lowest and he will take you to your highest. And that your ladder will be greater. I have hope that God will do exceedingly above all. Basically, I feel like he will do greater than what has happened in my life. So I have expectation. Counseling is your friend. Counselors are your friend.
Amen.
I would recommend, those who are believers, or from the way I live my life, I want someone to speak biblical principles. I think in my time in worship, so I would for those who, love God, I would definitely recommend that with that worship time. And journaling.
Beautiful.
Journaling was a good thing for me. I watched God answer prayer, through my journaling. So those are some things I would suggest.
Amen. Archiving the goodness of God, right? Being able to see a record of what He's doing.
Yeah.
That's always beautiful. Well, I think all of those things are helpful, and I am just looking forward to continuing to witness your journey because although I believe at this point you're at the river, you're in the water. The story of Naaman, he dipped 7 times before he saw wholeness, and I think that God is taking you through all of these different levels of immersions, and each time you come up with another level of wholeness, another level of healing, a revelation about who you are, as many of us have to go through. And I'm extremely proud. I'm proud of how you've handled these things, and I look forward to what God is going to use your story to do in the lives of many people. So thank you for sharing your journey.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Life is lived on a long road to God's ordained destiny for your life. Along the way, you may endure the tolls of pain, bridges of disappointment, the traffic of trauma, or a combination of them all. Like many, you become accustomed to surviving these challenges without ever addressing the impact that they have on the wholeness of your soul. However, God wants you to be whole just as much as He wants you to be His. So the beautiful part about the road of destiny is that it always runs parallel to the river of God. There is always an opportunity to go to His healing waters. The journey to this river is not without its challenges. In the newly released title, Journey to the River, author Sheree James offers spiritual insight and practical wisdom that helps you navigate and endure the healing work that lies ahead. From this book, you will gain God's heart for your wholeness, insight to prepare for your journey, wisdom to manage your healing process, and the courage to begin or finish your inner healing journey. Learn more at journeytotheriver.me.